I was thinking of a way to introduce our next speaker, and there's a term that some of you may be aware of called VUCA, V-U-C-A, and it was introduced by the US War College. There's an actual US War College. And what it stands for is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And it certainly characterizes the socio-political environment that we're in today, but also the business environment, what we're all experiencing with many of our businesses, with many of cultural change, transformations, whether it be digital, maybe innovation, whether it be disruption. And our next speaker is one of these people who has grasped that change, understood it very, very deeply, and can articulate that in a very clear way. He's worked with businesses like Apple, with Steve Jobs personally. He's worked with Angela Merkel in Germany to actually come up with a strategy for the country, and he's worked with governments all over the world. And I hope you're going to enjoy this fantastic talk by our keynote speaker, Henrik Von Scheel.
Thank you very much. I think it's turned on, right?
Yep.
So the next session, the 1 hour session, is for you, right? Take some notes. I will go high level. What is the fourth industrial revolution? I will go in terms of where does it come from? What does it mean for you? And then we'll split it into pieces, right? I will go to in terms of what does it mean for business model and operating model and how do you apply it? And then we'll dig deep into smart automation, implementation of it, right? So let me ask, are you all operational, supply chain management, manufacturing? Is that still good? Good. I don't want to lose you, but I will go at one time quite deep, right? So if there's simple things, there's no stupid questions here, right? If you don't know what the difference is between innovation and transformation, ask me, because most of you don't. So if there's other aspects you don't understand, to say, good, Henrik, can you tell me what is the difference between the tiering in a business model, strategic, tactical, operational, why and how to use it? This is the time to really ask for it. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Henrik Von Scheel. People know me best as the originator of the fourth industrial revolution and the digital revolution, the digital agenda. These are two big global themes, but this is not really my core competence. My core competence, I'm a strategy guy, and my core competence is strategy and competitiveness. I'm a certified BPM expert. I've been developing for OMG. Anybody of you know OMG? Good. For OMG, I've been developing the BPMN 2.0, BPM standards. I've written 3 books on business process management called The Complete Handbook of Business Process Management for master's and bachelor's degrees. That means I'm quite well familiar with SAP, and for Oracle, I'm developing the SAP methodology and how it's implemented. The life cycle model you know today in terms of e-commerce, I developed with IKEA and Google in 2001. So what does it tell you, right? I want to communicate to you there's a high, deep level of things that are connected together, and I want to connect it for you together. Okay? So that's about a little bit about my accomplishments, but that's not really me, right? The real me behind that is my wife. Been married for 30 years. We have 2 children. She has been the one that has been supporting me when I've been doubting myself, when clients were not satisfied, when things did not work out as they really should, right? She supported me to be the dad that I became, and she has really been the pillar of it, the backbone of it, right? One of the reasons why I'm telling you that is that we need people in each other's life. The centerpiece of the fourth industrial revolution is human beings. People connect with people. People sell to people. People interact with people. People help people in new skills development. We support each other to come from A to B. The core element of us as human beings, we have visions, we have ambitions, and we have dreams. Our core ability is that we can change, we can learn, we can adapt. That ability is more needed now than ever before. We have entered the biggest disruptive period of human mankind. There's never walked people on the planet that are going through so much change in so short time as ever before. So what does that mean for you? It means you need to upskill, you need to adapt, you need to learn new things at a very, very short space of time. You can only do that by relying on other people. You cannot do it alone, because other people have other skills that you don't have. The next era requires cross-competency skill. If you're a BPM expert, and you're an enterprise architect, and you're an engineer, and you're a strategist, you need to learn to communicate and collaborate and share knowledge together. We cannot work today anymore in processes siloed. We cannot work together in strategy siloed. We cannot work alone in engineering siloed. It will not work anymore. So, I think this is the point. So the fourth industrial revolution, how many of you heard about that? Good. Who dares to come with a definition? Anybody want to try? The one who will try can select the poster afterwards. Yeah.
So, in terms of the fourth industrial revolution, succeeds the third, second, and first. The first being steam.
Yes.
In the late 18th century,
Yeah.
early 19th century, followed by 100 years later by the mass production, with the let's say production chain or the production line of Ford Mini T, or sorry, not Mini T, but a Model T. And then the third industrial revolution is the one where we first began to use computing power in the late 70s, early 80s. And the fourth is what's upon us now, which is the use of information, connected equipment, connected devices, automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, which is where we are now. That's that. And
Sounds good.
broadly,
Give him a hand, right? Give him a hand, right? 10 points for bravery. The fourth industrial revolution is very simple put. It's the colliding of three worlds together. The digital world, the physical world, and the virtual world. Who has a phone? Good. Want to put your phone up? Is your phone digital? Is your phone digital? It can connect with everything around you, right? Is your phone virtual? Yeah, you can look at your plan, you can look at the performance, right? You can do Skype calls with the team, right? You can connect with people all over the world that are not physically here. Is it digital? No, is it physical? Very much so, right? It's a physical in a way that is very strange, right? You can scan the wall, and you can see the angle, and you can see how high it is. You can look at it, and you will see the North Pole. You can measure the temperature here or in other places. So it connects physical things in a very strange way we haven't seen before, right? And that's the fourth industrial revolution. And it comes in waves. But in 2008, when Angela Merkel asked Professor Scher, who knows Professor Scher? You gotta know him. He's the co-founder of SAP. Good. Like a guru. Good. No, Professor Scher is the co-founder of process thinking. Professor Henrik is the co-founder of SAP. Right, and I did get to them with a strategy for Germany right after the crisis. Germany was in huge crisis, and when you want to grow, the principles of strategy, you cannot grow before you have productivity up by 2%, minimum 2 years. basic thumb rule, right? So we were focusing on productivity level, and what we discovered there was something quite unique. And when you don't know a little bit about strategy, you realize that normally when you have a force pushing something, you have 3 to 5 years when you can react to it. When you have a couple of forces at the same time, it gives you an inability to adapt because there's a gap change coming in. So there's more force, that's an exponential element that happens to it. That happened in 2008. So when you look at the elements like mobile, cloud, big data, social media, and internet, right? At that time, they were not connected. At that time, they were merging to connect. Today, you have all of this on your phone. Today, you don't even think about it. At that time, these worlds were colliding together. The reasons why I'm showing you this is that you will see that happened in a very short period of time. Today, you don't even think about it. This will happen even far more because now we have an exponential change to it. So now, we came out with a report called Germany's Digital Agenda. The European Union accepted it. A half year later, all countries applied it, also Ireland. It's called the Digital Agenda 2020. Copy, paste, blah, blah, blah. But we realized a half year later that we are in the 4th industrial revolution. And an industrial revolution comes very, very rarely. There's no 5th industrial revolution. A 5th industrial revolution will probably come in 2050 or 2070 but later on. But it comes rarely by. And the reasons why an industrial revolution is always based on, I'm not going to go through big lessons for you, but just basically, it's driven by a core element and it drives energy changes, transportation changes, infrastructure changes, communication changes, renewable changes. So there's certain elements it drives changes too. So it fundamentally changes, new industries emerge, it changes the workforce. At this time, it was in UK, right? This time, it was in the US. This time was the silent one. This time is the big blast. This is exponential. The other ones were not exponential. Do you grab the term exponential? That's a huge, huge change. So I will go through a very, very short period of that, right? We will focus today on the exponential innovation. But I have highlighted to you that the key element are the 6th paradigm shifts. We will only talk about the exponential innovation today, okay? But to illustrate you exponential how that works, right? The last 15 years, we have killed 25% of animals. By 2025, we have killed additional 25% of animals. That means, as a human race, we have annihilated 50% of animals within 30 years. That's exponential for you. If that hasn't shaken you to the core, let's talk later on, right? So that means that the exponential innovation that we will discuss to you is one of the centerpiece of the 4th industrial revolution. Good. What is the 4th industrial revolution? The colliding of the 3 worlds, which are? Very good. Very good. I'm sorry, the old teacher comes up in me again. Good. So this is the exponential innovation, and it consists of 17 technology sets. Right? When I announced this in 2009, they were still the same. I haven't changed the message. Which message has changed? When I'm sitting at the World Economic Forum, it's about how the guys who pay big money, how they can regurgitate the message. The message is still the same, right? So, these 3 are merging in 3 different waves, and they are waves of maturity. So the first wave has already passed. Does that mean it's not relevant anymore? No, that's not true. The first wave only means that it started in a couple of industries and it's merging in all industries. Digitalization, advanced analytics, cloud computing, augmented reality, robotics, 3D printing. Is that relevant for biopharma? Yes. It's very much relevant for how you do your operating model, how your supply chain works, how you do smart automation, how you set up the factory, how you do your warehouse management, everything of that is really, really relevant. So it's about how you apply it. I will discuss a little bit later how you apply it, right? So here's the element to it. So the first wave, just imagine that's around the level of 10 here. It's disrupting all industries and it's applied in all industries, but it's like a flood that is coming. It's going from room to room slowly, right? The second wave is 100 million times bigger than the first wave, right? That's exponential for you. That means that the disruption forces are bigger, right? Can you just stand up? So disruption is a simple thing. If I push him, he's standing, right? The more I push him, the more effort he needs to use to keep his balance, right? The more I push him, he really has to do something to stand, right? Thank you very much. That is disruption for you, right? So the effort to remain at point is more difficult. So the second wave are very different than the first wave because the second wave are technology sets that are fundamentally changing every aspect. But they require that the first wave has happened. So artificial intelligence, who can define that for me? Artificial intelligence is the automation of intelligence. The question is, what is then intelligence? Good. You can ask yourself everywhere you stand, can you automate a process? Yes. Can you automate a system? Can you automate data? No. You can integrate data. Good. Can you automate information flow? Yes. Right? Why is that important? Because in your organization, when you use artificial intelligence, it will prioritize for you how you use it. Very, very important element that comes into that. It will change every aspect of how we interact, how we consume, how we link with each other, how our economy works, and how industries are able to compete. Supply chain, warehouse, how they procure things in artificial intelligence trading, right? The speed of trading when you buy material is really important. Your CFO, if he's buying something, it takes him 6 seconds to set an order and 6 seconds to close an order. That's 12 seconds. A computer can do that in less than a nanosecond, right? What does that mean? It means money saved, right? I'm just telling you, there will be a broader version of it. Good. Autonomous systems, you already know. Blockchain, I think most of you already know that. Or who wants to define blockchain for me?
Distributed ledger, globally distributed ledger.
Yes, very good. Global distributed ledger, the information cannot be erased, and you can use that for supply chain, procurement, profiling, contracting, right? You will use that hardcore in many aspects, right? It will be one of the elements that you use as cybersecurity, because the next wave of cybersecurity will be something very different. This is your way that you lock something in, right? Just imagine it the simple way. If this is a poker game, and the people at the poker table, they know each other, and you step into that table, they know your information, and you know their information. And it's the same contracts you do once in a while, right? This is perfectly for biopharma industry. Do you have new clients every month? Do you new procurement? partners every month? You better have, right? But it's the same contracts you have. It's the same conditions you have, right? You're not reinventing your procurement process every month. You're not reinventing what you're offering to them every month. So you can easily offer that in a secure manner that really works. So blockchain will also be the one that will revolutionize the way that the internet works. So today, Google and Amazon and Facebook and all of these guys, you're selling information to them to get something for free, right? Just think about your phone is 64 bits. It only works on 32 bits. You can develop a software that every phone is a blockchain and that it hops every 3 seconds to other people without knowing who they are, right? What will that enable you? It will enable you that you become the centerpiece of your information. And that Google and Facebook have to buy your information. It will change the way profiling, information is shared. It will turn the internet around. I've been at the Google board for over 10 years. They're desperate trying to change their business model. They're buying up companies like crazy because they know their business model is running against the wall. They have one business model, 99.9% is Google Ads. They have diarrhea of money, but they know it's dying out. And they have an inability to change their business model. Right? So in a couple of years, that will change via blockchain. Good. Smart automation. Oh, that's an important one I need to tell you. That's really run. Good. Can you pass the glass down there? Good. How many of you know something about processes? Good. What she did, and what she did, and what he did, and what she did was an activity, an event, a role, a person. She was a contained process. She was a siloed. How fast she pushes this out is a business process. We can do Lean, Six Sigma with her. We can optimize everything without her, right? But everything we do, we optimize in a silo. Everything we do is we optimize in a silo. What she does is a process. What she delivers to her was a service. How we did it was a workflow. Who's responsible in companies for the workflow? Nobody. Nobody. Who's responsible for the service flow? Executives. All right? But they have nobody who's responsible for it. And this is why strategy execution fails. Everything we focus on is projects, portfolios, and programs. We are reinforcing the silo. How much can it add value that she optimizes more and more and more? Very little. How much cost cutting can we get out of her? When we do cost cuttings, we do it departments by departments, right? The departments can only add limited value. It's the flow that is important, the workflow, right? Very, very important element that I wanted to go through with you on smart automation. That means we have opened up a door that is locked. That door, see, SAP forces us to be siloed. Consulting houses forces us to be siloed. Why? They come with a team that do process mapping. I just know a bit about processes. The process doesn't matter. It's the workflow that matters. Right? You hear that from a person that uses 2 years to write 3 books about processes, right? And he tells you processes don't matter. That ought to tell you something, because we are process obsessed. Literally, we are process obsessed in every organization. So the process people need to be reskilled to think in smart automation, right? When you look at this simple piece here, we have over here. This is a normal organization. This is the top layer, tactical layer, operational layer. Here's where the magic happens. That's the managers. That's the executives, right? The link between here and here. SAP allows us to link a process to a strategy, right? Have you ever done that? Who has done that? Okay. If you meet anybody that does it, you must take a group and you must do a group hitting. Right? Because the system allows you is why we do it. But a service or a strategy is a conceptual thing. A process is a physical thing. These two things are not connectable. You need to connect it via a service or a competence. Right? What I'm telling you is not rocket science. This is the nervous system of your body in an organization. There's a periodical system to it. You know which nerve is connected with what. There's no rocket science to this. This is the layering of strategic, tactical, operational, right? Everybody that does strategy reinvents how to do it. Let me tell you. A strategy is based on a plan, forecast, value management, budget, policy, communication. You see where it sends in, where it comes back. Communications is here you have here measurement. Let's say a policy here is a function. A policy is consumed by a strategy, a plan, strategic advice, strategic guidance, compliance, procedure, measurements, communication, performance management, risk management, right? This is nothing else than the autonomy of an organization. It tells you what you can do, what sends out what, and what consumes what. Every organization reinvents this. This is already there. You don't have to reinvent this. You just have to map it to the right things that are there. There's no rocket science to this. So this is for you for free, so you can learn how to apply it, right? So the reasons why I'm going through smart automation, 6G I will not go through, future of energy I will not go through, the next version I will go through. That's even, when you think this is big, the next wave will change everything. It will change biopharma to the core. At the very, very core. Biopharma will not be the same. You're going into an area where you're doing quantum logic, nanotechnology, bioinformatics, advanced material. For you, I know this sounds like rocket science. When I was talking 8 years about the second wave, people thought I was talking about rocket science, right? Artificial intelligence. Oh, come on, Henrik, just get a grip, you know, this is like far out in the future. Today they're all like, they will take over our jobs and we'll be controlled by robots and artificial intelligence. This is more reality for you than anything else. Everything you have in nanotechnology and neurotechnology will change the way that biopharma will be used, make, produce, who they make for, what they produce. If you're not jumping on that wagon very fast, you will be out of business. Somebody else will take that part. Let me give you an example. Industries that are not there will emerge very, very fast and will be dominating within 5 to 7 years. Do you think there will be a biopharma company that will lead on meat production? Sure. Have anybody of you eaten the Impossible Burger? Okay. It actually tastes really good. I'm even convinced if it's available for me, I would rather eat an Impossible Burger than a normal burger. The quality is as good as. Right? If I'm willing to do this and I'm a meat eater, other people will be able to do that too. Will an industry that takes the dominance on this lead? Yes. Right? This is your ability to take that lead, right? Now, you're not the decision makers of it, you're just the consumers of it. So I'm just highlighting to you very short. Quantum logic will be one of the big things that changes your industry very, very much, because it changes the core of how our periodic system works, the core of how chemical systems work, the core of our physical laws that we have been taught. We will literally go in and change elements to it. I will only use 5 minutes on it, and then I will move on to the technical part, right? But I need a pen, and then I think, yes. This is a smart way to explain it, or a simple way to explain it. Niels Bohr, anybody of you heard about Niels Bohr? Good, he was the Danish person, so you all related to him somehow. Good. Einstein? Good, he was Swiss, you're not related to him. So they were fighting for 25 years, and Einstein had the relativity theory, and Niels Bohr had the quantum theory. And the principal design was that Einstein said, if you're right, I'm wrong. Hence, I'm right. Niels Bohr said the same thing. The principle is simple. If this is a cable with 100 million fibers and I send 10 million fibers in one of them, the world we live in today, we know that data will not jump, so it comes out on the exactly same string of fiber. Right? But this is not true. We know this is not true. We have broken through our reality wall. Right? So that means everything that is in the universe is quantum laws. Everything that is in the nano world is quantum laws. We have created the last 6,000, 8,000 years a reality of something that we see. It's falling. I can see a pattern. I can recognize it again and again. But the 10 megabyte will appear on any of these fibers that we look at. We have just been looking at the same fiber again and again. What does that mean for us, right? We know how atoms behave. This will mean for us that the elements on how we are focusing on our operational excellence very different. It looks a little bit like this. Anybody of you interested to know a little bit about this? If not, I'm not using time on this. Complex, complicated, and chaotic, something like this. Everything here is in a binary logic, right? Ones and zeros. Here, you hit underwater, you can see a pattern emerging, you can program the pattern, and every time the pattern emerges, you can react on it. This is classification, categorization, pattern recognition. This is how everything in our system works. This is how the organizational structure of an organization is set up. Up here, we have complicated, right? You see me hitting 3 times underwater. You see pattern emerging. The more they come together, the more difficult it becomes to us to recognize, right? This is where human beings have a pattern recognition of 4 levels, right? The more they merge together, the more complex it will be. This is where we have systems to help us, right? This is where we do semantics, ontology. You know this? You know semantics, ontologies? Good. Semantics and ontology is a discipline, a cross-discipline that you very, very much need, right? This is the semantics and ontology of an enterprise. This is the semantics and ontology of a process, right? A process consists of, right? And then you relate to what it does. A semantics ontology is the meaning of words, right? That means you are a mother, you are a father, but because you're a mother, you have children, right? Then you are also, for your children, you are a coach, you're a taxi driver, you are a cook. Then you're married. For your husband, you're a lover. You're also a coach. You also, you have many roles to one person. The semantics is the relationship you have for the role you have to these people. To your children, you're not a lover, but to your husband, you're a lover, right? To your husband, you're also a cook, as you are for your children, right? The reasons why this is important, this is the only way for us to wire what is connected in which manner and what we need to do in which sequence. This is one of the key elements that we can reuse in terms of when the fourth industrial revolution is upon us, as it is. It's the three worlds colliding together, but it's engineering disciplines, management disciplines, and IT disciplines that merge together. So that means each discipline has a different vocabulary, a different understanding of things, and to see the nature of what does it really mean and how does it relate to it is the only way to link strategy with strategy execution. Are you with me? Yeah. Or did I lose you? Good. If I lost you, raise your hands. I'm more than happy to repeat it. Good. This is the world that we live in today. This is the world that we have entered now, right? This is where you have swarm intelligence, artificial intelligence, right? Why is it that we can do this? We can today in supply chain management or in procurement processes, when we buy raw material, we can buy it at the right time for the right price. We can manage chaos in supply chain. We can do weather predictions. We can do things we cannot do before. And this is because we're entering into a new reality on how we approach things. That means this is the quantum logic, and we cannot continue to do this part, right? This means in your hardcore development of operations, you're going beyond to take new people in that know something about the key areas to it. So 6 months ago, I was invited by the Israeli cybersecurity guys. They asked the same questions. Now, they're all Jewish people. They're hardcore guys. They are the leaders in the world on cybersecurity, right? I was sitting there, they asked me the same question, right? I started this way. Let me start with a joke, a Jewish joke. Not a good way to start with Jewish people, by the way. But the principle, to answer your question, very simple, right? Cybersecurity is built up on a pyramid like this. It will fundamentally change, right? When you, on your phone, can secure yourself, the way that cybersecurity works now to attack you will not work anymore. So everybody, person by itself, will be linked on the same way we do cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is built on a binary world, right? Ones and zeros, and then you have a bug in it, right? You don't recognize it, but they have a door opening in. If you're on quantum logic, you have created chaos. There's no door opening for them. You have blockchain to it. So cybersecurity links with artificial intelligence and blockchain to create this. But it requires new communication for it. The new dominant space will not be internet anymore. The new dominant space will be the new telecommunication provider. They will be the holder of your information. So the new Googles of the world will be telecommunication, not search engine. Okay? So, any questions for this? If not, I'm just going on. Good. What is the fourth industrial revolution? It's the colliding of the three worlds. Yes, very good. Which three skills are colliding together? Yes, very good. What does it mean for you, actually? opportunity, right? Opportunity to upskill, opportunity to advance in your career when you know how to apply it, an opportunity to lift the table with your teams together. You will not be able to do it alone. You have to collaborate because you need cross skills to it. This is an important part, right? So what I find fascinating, right, that Pharma has already captured that vision that you need cross competencies to do that. We cannot lift the table at the same time. So when you look at something like this, it looks very complex, but it's actually not really complex because each of you are pieces of the small element, right? But how you do it, if you do record management, package tracking, or if you do risk management, if you do transparency, if you do whatever you do, you can decide on whatever outcome you want to use. The Industry 4.0 is always purpose-driven. So you apply it to either optimize your productivity level, high level of maturity, bring down the cost, high level of operational excellence, or you apply it where you need to compete head-on-head, or you apply it where you need to be outperforming. So that means wherever you stand, you recognize yourself to say, okay, I am in business warehouse, or I'm responsible for supply chain management. So in supply chain management, I need to do this and this and this. When I'm in business warehouse management, I need to do this and this and this. So the secret that I'm telling you now, you cannot buy the Industry 4.0. You have to learn to think for yourself. You have to learn to think for yourself. And this is a difficult time today because everything we do today is compulsive. Our phone forces us to be compulsive. Our mailing system forces us to be compulsive. And the compulsiveness takes us away from thinking. Does that make sense to you? So it's easy for us to just do the process optimization because it's not a big thing we get a consultant house in to do it, right? But the consultant house cannot think in the workflow. You must gather all three departments together, from the warehouse, from the supply chain management, from manufacturing, and think together and say, good, not how do we work in the workflow, right? What is the main service? What is the supporting services, right? How do we do it right now and how should we do it? Does that make sense to you? That means you cannot get a consultant company in to do it. You have to do it yourself, right? You have to gather the team together. You have to apply the right principles and help them, you and them, to take the right decisions. This is not easy, right? Because most of them in the manufacturing department are all engineers. And when you go to the business warehouse guys, they're just hardcore guys who have a system, or they drive around with a small truck and they have their targets, right? They're not really interested in what you're doing because whatever you create is a problem. But that's reality, right? So they don't have time for you. They don't have time for you. And they don't at all have time for you because supply chain management is the king, right? We are the kings of the kings because we are doing all of this. You're just supplying in, right? We're doing the big stuff, right? This is how it works in an organization. So you need to work with human beings, connect with them, talk to them, align the common problems, and tackle it at the core. Tackle it at the core. What I have for you here, you can get these posters later on. I will do some tests and then we can see who wants to have them, right? These are basic principles that you can use for your team to align them. There's absolutely no rocket science to it. I know this looks for you, you look like children that look at your mom that does the spaghetti sauce. And you're like amazed that she can do it every time, right? Don't worry, you will grow up. The spaghetti sauce is not a secret. You just have to learn the right sequence to do it. And but taking the step is a human step, the ability to change, to say, yes, we can do it, right? And taking out the step and start to work together and fail and try again and fail and try again. The first time you do spaghetti sauce, it will not be a good spaghetti sauce. But don't worry, every pancake you make the first time will not be a good pancake. It's mostly the second or the third pancake that is a good pancake, right? So, this is the core manufacturing. This is normally used when they're going for benefits realization. So, as an industry 4.0, it's always purpose-driven. You have to see what is the benefit I want to get out of it. You never, ever apply technology because it's technology. You want to have automation out of it, higher level of quality, lower level of cost, more automation. You always have a purpose to why you do it. If not, don't do it. That was an easy recommendation, right? So, this is the new level of supply chain. Who of you are in supply chain management? Good. Yes. So supply chain management is changing in a way you have not seen before, right? This was a value chain, right? Supply chain today is an overlay of the value chain, not really a value chain. Today, the ability to interconnect, to get information with RFIDs, to track, to do record management, this means that supply chain management will become the core. Why? Because it connects to be a true value chain. That means that what you will have the ability to do is that before, you saw the last couple of years, the chief information officer was at the board level and he stepped out slowly, right? Now he's just a cost center. And then you saw the CFO steps in on top and he will become the next CEO, right? The next person that will step into the boardroom is supply chain management. Why? Because he will integrate this. Why is it that the CFO stepped into the role of the most important person? Because he can control the budget. He can have financing is the king, right? The king of the future is zero marginal cost, footprint, collaboration, ecosystems across the value chain, right? Do you need business process management for it? Yes. Do you need smart automation for it? Yes. Do you need architecture for it? Yes. Do you need all of this? Yes. But the king of the kings will be the ones who can control the value chain. Zero marginal cost means that he's not looking at what is she costing and how can I optimize her, but he looks at this, 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 and this portion of it. So the highest level of productivity we can get out of the Industry 4.0 is 17 to 18%. That's not a lot. And we're still happy, right? So if you can increase it by 2% in the value chain in supply chain management, you will be the king at the board because the company doesn't need to grow. The company doesn't need to go cost cuttings. You have just increased the margin. You will be the king. Do you see what I'm saying? This means that supply chain management has to upskill big time because they have to understand the full view of it. Today, the supply chain is totally obsessed with systems, SAP, APO, and what's. The system doesn't matter. They need to step out of this role and be true supply chain managers, not system managers. It makes sense for you? Good. This is how you apply it, and this one is over here. A simple way, right? The fourth industrial revolution is always purpose-driven applied. How many of you know Porter's value chain? Good. How many of you know how to apply it? Good. The only way we can apply the Industry 4.0, it requires new management skills and new skills from the people. How do we do strategies today? Okay, silence tells me you're not doing strategy. Good. Yes?
Information available to us and assumptions?
Yes, assumption, you read news, The executives, they write emails to each other, they gather the information, they get a consultant company that writes something up, and they put it in the paper, and they send it out to all the teams. We do this, and we all feel good now. And after 3-4 months, nobody talks about it. God, running, cost cutting. So, you know, they come with new things that have nothing related to the strategy, right? The principle is simple. This is a chair, right? It has 4 of these. It has a chair back. Now I'm doing a representation of a chair. This is nothing else than a business model. This is the same. The value chain is the highest level of how you recognize the chair. This is the only way, and there is no other way, how you can relate external trends, forces and drivers to how your organization is set up and how you want to design your operations. This means everything you produce is here, everything you supply is here, how you have your customer relationship is here, how you have your channel here. This is your core operations. This is your supporting operations or non-core. Everything here is your cost structure. That means your operating model, your performance model, your cost model. Everything here provides revenue for you. So that's your service model, value model, and revenue model. These are simple principles, and here it has certain level of notations how you take decisions, right? For every organization, the value chain will look different. An organization normally in pharma will have 4 or 5 different value chains, right? Where they have the core service flows, the core headcounts, distribution, and all of this, right? This is the highest level where you can see the forces and the drivers, and you can relate to how the organization is and how you want to move the organization. That's not relevant for you. But that's relevant for you because this will roll down your level here. This is a business model. Business model derives from a value chain. A value chain is a direct reflection. Every one of these ones you see up here. That's a business unit. And a business unit is segmented down at strategic, tactical, operational level. Manager level, operational level. This is how you operate. This is how the company functions. Of these ones, you will have 2. Running the business and developing the business. I know these are new disciplines for you, right? This is the link, how you can link with the executives. In this one, you can measure everything which is service, workflow, requirement, value flows, people distribution, cost flow, bottlenecks. You can map this already over there. So most executives of the Fortune 500 companies, they have a wall with a big poster where they have this and they distribute this. Any project that puts on, they see what it touches, which service flows it works, and so on. If not, they cannot take design decisions. This one relates to an operating model. An operating model is the same part of this, just one level lower down. That's where you have your roles, your policies, your process level 1 to 5. You have your information flow, your data flow, right? This is where you have all the dirty stuff. But this, everything here relates to here. If there's sand in the machine, it's here. If the service flow is not working there, you need to look at why it's not working. Do you see what I'm doing? You have just built the autonomy of the organization. So if he's telling me he's hurting here, you can actually see what's there. This is the only way that the Fortune 500 and you need to learn the same disciplines. How you are shaping the current operations and the future operations. This is where you innovate, this is where you transform, and you will need to do that as teams together, right? Does that seem overwhelming to you? No? This is a new discipline that you have to learn, right? There's no rocket science to it. Do you remember the first time that you had to learn project management? It seems like an overwhelming task, right? Today, to look at a Gantt chart is not a problem. You do it easily. Everything you do today, you do project-based, right? So this is the same skill you need to learn. There's nothing new to it. You just need to learn it. This is a simple way that you need to learn what you map so you can relate everything to it. Good. This is a simple way that you just connect it together. I'm actually finished now, but I wanted to go through this one. This is how you connect it to the governance and the entire model to it. I want to go to this one for you. And then I'm finished. Good. For you, the next level of operation excellence is coming. And it's coming really, really fast. And that means a simple way to put it, how many of you have children? Good. Are your children the same? No. Every children is different, right? This is like you have 5 different children from now on. And because they have different attributes, you will and shall treat them differently. One likes piano, one likes films. So everything which is high level of automation, but medium level of integration, is, for example, a simple operation. Simple operation will have the driver of cost cuttings. So when it has the driver of cost cuttings, you need to standardize, optimize, and integrate, right? What would have an attribute of cost cuttings? Let me pick one. Who wants the answer? Is HR, is that a cost cutting? Yeah, HR is very much so, right? Financing, is that cost cutting? Is it simple operations? Yeah, is that core or just simple? Simple, right? Good. The next one up there, complex, it has a performance driver. What would have a performance driver and it's complex by nature? Supply chain management, yes. Warehouse management, right? Because it has a performance driver to it and it's complex by nature, it has a high level of need for integration and a high level of automation, but you need to align and transform, and you need to apply the principles of workflows. You see? So from now on, you will treat all children differently. That means you have suddenly these 3 children where you will absolutely not do any cost cuttings. If you do cost cuttings in this, you do something wrong. If something is tactical by nature, it has a value and governance performance to it, the alarm clock for you should be alerted. I am cutting value, right? The monitoring and controlling, I will lose part of that if I do that, right? If you do something which is, for example, the value driver is the value, then you say, fingers off, right? If I do something like this, I will destroy something that somebody would probably fire me for, right? These are the guidelines, principles from you in the future. There's exactly no rocket science to it. When you go over here, this is the same piece for smart automation, right? Here you have the tiering. Here you have the semantics relationships. Here you have the project management, the value gates, how teams should work together. And here you have all the decisions that you're working with. I give this out for free. Why do I give it out for free? Because people keep reinventing the wheel. It's still round. And my advice to you, you must stop buying stuff because it's easier for you. You must learn to build skills in yourself. And you must learn to use cross competencies. So in closing, the fourth industrial revolution is about you as a human being. You interconnect with people, you relate to people, and you also the ones that will make a difference. I always give the analogy, lift where you stand. But you need to align with the people that you lift with. We live in the greatest time ever in human mankind. We have all the food we can eat from any season. We have more equality between the sexes ever. We have more free time than we ever had. We had more money in the hands than that we ever had. We live the most easiest life ever. We have knowledge accessible to us. We can raise our children. We have religious freedom. We live in one of the best times ever. But we are the generation that the other generations will look at if we are able to make the change. You are the generation that they will judge if you took the right decisions. This is a big burden because disruption change means things are changing so fast that you have to be really agile. But this is my hope in each of you. Everybody of you have an ability to change and adapt. But with the disruption that is upon you, you will have an inability to adapt so fast without having people around you to do it together with. We are inside all the same. We have visions, we have dreams, we have ambitions. We can only leverage and lift the table if we do it together. The ability to apply skills today is more pressing than ever before. It's not just a course that you need to attend to. You need to learn to apply things today. And since you're all individual people, everybody of you will apply it differently. The first thing you must change is your mindset. Your mindset will leapfrog you to how you feel about it and how you will go about it. I believe that the next coming years will be one of the most exciting years. I believe that each of you can lift where you stand. You have been given the ability, but it requires that you go beyond your own. That is the difficult part. Biopharma is one of the most biggest luxury industries to be in. It's also the most challenging one from skills. The challenge you face, you are being blinded by your own success. So you are so well treated that your ability to change from A to B is difficult. That means you have a blind spot. The second element that is very difficult, most pharmaceutical companies or biopharma companies, they are suffering from something called Peter's principle. Peter's principle is the principle of promoting people to incompetence. That means you are really good at what you did originally, that you were a researcher, or you were within pharma, or you had a master's degree in this and this. But in order to advance your career, you needed to become a manager, you needed to become a plant director, you needed to become this, you need to become that, right? So suddenly you get more and more responsibility without getting the competencies to learn. This is how it works. Here now you're responsible for this, just do this. But don't I need education? No, here's just this is how done, don't worry, it's just that easy, right? It's not that easy, right? Today, because we're in a disruption, you need to learn new skills. So you have an ability, once you recognize it, to really leapfrog it. Because the ability as a human being to adapt changes is what we can do, right? I believe you have the ability to set the path and the future for Ireland. But it requires that you collaborate together and lift the table. Thank you very much.